There was a man who loved the sound of applause, not because he was arrogant, not because he was prideful, but because applause reminded him that he mattered. He worked hard. He showed up early. He stayed late. He gave more than expected. And every time people clapped, he felt seen. But one day the applause stopped. No recognition, no compliments, no spotlight, just silence. And in that silence, a question rose like a whisper in the dark. Who are you without the applause? We live in a world that rewards performance. Social media claps, workplace recognition, public affirmation, validation metrics. But identity cannot be built on noise, because noise fades, and when it does, only character remains. Generation X understood something about this. They grew up without constant applause. No participación triunfis. No online validation. Many came home to empty houses, learning independence early. Economic instability shaped their thinking. Rising divorce rates shaped their emotional resilience. They learned to survive without constant affirmation. And whether you're Gen X or not, the lesson still applies. If your identity depends on applause, your peace will depend on people. The Bible tells us in Matthew 6, verse 1, "Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them." There's a version of you that performs for applause, and there's a version of you that grows in private. Which one is stronger? The man in our story started questioning himself. If no one is watching, am I still disciplined? If no one praises me, am I still kind? If no one acknowledges my sacrifice, do I still serve? He realized something painful. He had built motivation on recognition. And when recognition disappeared, so did his drive. But then he remembered another scripture. In Colossians 3 verse 23, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Not for applause, not for validation, not for trending status, but for purpose. Here's the truth. Applause is external. Purpose is internal. Applause is temporary. Character is eternal. And the strongest people are not those who shine the brightest in public, but those who stay consistent in private. There's a reason emotional toughness develops in silence. Gold is refined in fire, not celebration. Muscle grows through resistance, not comfort. Faith grows in waiting, not clapping. Even David was anointed king long before he was crowned. He fought lions in private. He fought bears in isolation. No audience, no chairs. But those hidden battles prepared him for Goliath. And maybe your private season is preparing you too. The real question isn't, why am I not being recognized? The real question is, am I becoming stronger without recognition? Psychologically, when applause becomes your fuel, you develop dependency. But when purpose becomes your fuel, you develop stability. That's why some people crumble when ignored, and others become sharper. Generation X developed skepticism because they saw systems fail. They saw promises break. They saw instability. So they learned to rely on themselves. But self-reliance without identity can turn into isolation. And independence without purpose can become emotional armor. So let's go deeper. Who are you when nobody reposts you? Nobody compliments your effort? Nobody notices your growth? Do you quit? Or do you continue? In Galatians 6 verse 9 it says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Notice something. It doesn't say, if people clap, you will reap. It says, if you do not give up. Consistency without applause is maturity. The man in our story decided something radical. He would keep building, even if no one noticed. He would stay disciplined, even if no one praised him. He would grow, even in silence. And something changed. He stopped chasing validation and started chasing alignment. Alignment with his values. Alignment with his calling. Alignment with God. And peace replaced pressure. Here is this psychological shift. When you need applause, you perform. When you know your identity, you transform. Performance seeks approval. Transformation builds substance. Jesus himself modeled this. Before his ministry ever went public, he spent 30 years in obscurity. 30 years. No spotlight. No miracles recorded. no applause. Yet preparation was happening. In Luke 16, verse 10, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Private faithfulness precedes public impact. So maybe this season of silence in your life is not punishment. Maybe it's preparation. Maybe the absence of applause is teaching you to stand on conviction. Maybe the quiet is strengthening your core. Because applause can be addictive. An addiction weakens identity. But when you learn to affirm yourself through truth, through discipline, through obedience, through growth, you become unshakable. Imagine waking up tomorrow and no one validates you. Would you still pray, study, build, create, love, serve? That answer reveals your foundation. In Matthew 7 verses 24 to 25, Jesus speaks of a wise man who built his house on the rock. Storms came, winds blew, rain fell, but the house stood. Why? Because it was built on something solid. Applause is sand. Identity is rock. The man in our story finally understood. Applause is a bonus, not a foundation. Recognition is a gift, not oxygen. And when he detached from needing claps, he discovered something powerful. He liked who he was in private. He respected his discipline. He valued his growth. He honored his progress. And suddenly, external validation became optional. That's emotional maturity. That's psychological strength. That's spiritual alignment. So today I ask you, who are you without the applause? Are you still focused? Still disciplined? Still kind? Still faithful? Still building? Because if you are, then you are unstoppable. Not because people see you, but because you see yourself clearly. Your worth was never meant to be crowd-funded. Your identity was never meant to be crowd-approved. You were designed with intrinsic value. In Psalm 139, verse 14, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Not wonderfully applauded, wonderfully made. Let this be your declaration. I will build in silence. I will grow in private. I will stay consistent without validation. And when applause comes, it will not define me. Because you already know who you are. And when the world goes quiet, you will not. You will keep becoming. You will keep evolving. You will keep building. Because identity rooted in purpose does not need permission to exist. So I leave you with this. If nobody claps, clap for your own growth. If nobody notices, notice your own progress. If nobody validates you, stand on truth. And remember, the strongest foundations are built where no one is watching. Who are you without the applause? The answer might be the most powerful version of you.